Joining us now is Kachi Ofia with stories trending around the world. Hello, Kachi. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Dr. Abati. Good morning. Good morning, Tundun. I hope you all are very well. Good morning, viewers. Let's take a look at stories trending today. Now, two of the suspects alleged to have killed a 17-year-old girl, Sofiat, they've poured out how they planned and cut off the head of the girl to satisfy their get-rich-quick syndrome they adopted by engaging in money rituals. Now, these teenagers, they said they learned how to perform this ritual from a Facebook page, which apparently has 27,000 members. Now, the Traditional Religion Worshippers Association, they have called on the federal government to simply clamp down on the people that claim to have the power to enrich others to become wealthy through the use of human parts for rituals, saying that no Yoruba deity was recorded to have used human parts or any body parts, to get wealth. Now, in a statement that was released by the Oyo State chapter of the body, they said that daily reports of killings and kidnappings for ritual purpose is traceable to the belief that wealth could be made by sacrificing human lives. Quite honestly, some comments to this have said that, okay, listen, maybe people should stop showing off on social media because 17, 18, you ask yourself, what will drive teenagers to go as far as cutting off a teenager's head? She was 17 as well, and they were burning it in the pot to perform some sacrifice to get rich. I mean, it's a menace at this point in time.
Well, I remember the story that you shared recently about a university banning cars, and I understood why. This is exactly why. These universities, these individuals, these institutions, they know what they are seeing and experiencing that will make them come out with such a draconian order. People saying that people should stop flaunting wealth on social media is also another way of policing other people's behavior. And I really don't have a problem with that necessarily. I think what everybody's just trying to express here is that there is a problem. Ideally, of course, people are free to flaunt their wealth. People are free to, be flash or whatever. But we're having a really dire moral emergency in this country. And I think that people are just trying to address it any way that they can. And I'm going to also link this story to another story that you shared recently, Kachi, about Nigerian women bleaching their skin. And I talked about how white is right manifests itself in all kinds of different ways. So it's not to point the finger at one way. People with their assisted yellow skin, people mock them. But they also have that same complex that manifests in other ways. The way our traditional religions, which are beautiful and noble in and of themselves, have been demonized, is also one of the reasons why a lot of people look down on, scorn, deride people that worship, for example, I don't know, Ifa, because I'm Yoruba, that's a handy example for me. And that should not be scorned. They have that right, same as anybody else has a right to worship one of the Abrahamic religions and what have you. But people like these people who are murderers, who are con artists, they've lied to people that if you commit murder, that you can get rich. That has nothing to do with our traditional religions. But because it comes under that banner, it just demonizes the whole faith and makes people wary and disrespect our traditional cultures, which is really unfortunate. I mean, I don't follow or observe a traditional religion, but I have a lot of respect for them because that's what our ancestors practiced. So the fact that it's been demonized and bastardized in this way is really offensive. The fact that there's so many people, and the cases that we hear about, Kachi, I want to assure you, are just the tip of the iceberg. People are being killed because of rituals, and especially around election time, we're going to see a lot more of that. What are we as a country? Why are we so desperate for this thing called money that it can cause us to completely lose our humanity? It's really worrying.
Okay, what are we dealing with here? Money. Where is the money? The intersectionality of the spirit world and wealth. People think that they can become wealthy by spiritual means. What again are we dealing with is the loss of the moral center of society, moral turpitude, the manner in which we no longer focus on high values. The Nigerian society today now focuses on money by any means possible. Once upon a time in this country, if you suddenly showed up with wealth that you cannot explain, people in the neighborhood will be worried. They will report you to the police. Civil service, public service rules in this country, once upon a time, did not allow you to ride a car that your salary could not justify. But the country just went down, and we have reached a point where 419 has become definitive, where what is called Yahoo Yahoo, has become the way of the world, as William Congreve put that explanation in one of his plays. And also, we have people who do not want to work. They want reward without work, which should be a major sin. Now, the traditional religion worshippers association, the Ibadan branch, they put out a statement to say it is not true that you can do money rituals. They say, well, government should arrest anybody who is involved in money rituals. I think so too, because of the criminality that is involved. But is government doing enough? They say also that Ifa religion, traditional religion, that there is no deity in the Ifa eschatology that recommends human sacrifice. That what is recommended is sugar cane, some goats, palm oil, salt, or whatever. They should know, because that's their province. And 3, they say that they called out religious leaders. You know that the doctrine has been, turned upside down for many years in this country. All these pastors and evangelists who tell you about the prosperity gospel, and they mislead people, and people become desperate. They assume that if they are not worthy, it is a sin. So they look for all kinds of ways. So I think the recommendation of the Ibadan branch of the Traditional Worshippers Association is in order. The people who engage in money rituals should be apprehended if they are caught, because we have had cases of people even killing their own siblings in order to get rich.
Yeah.
The pastors, the prosperity pastors, my God is a rich God. If you are not rich, you will go to hell.
Oh God.
They too should be, yes, they should be called to order. We have a body called the National Orientation Agency. 3, Nollywood is part of the problem. If you watch many of these films that are churned out from Nollywood, despite all the good points about Nollywood, money rituals all over the place. Dibia, Babalawo, all of them always having money rituals projecting, onto our screens. And that, of course, is a major, influence on young Nigerians who want to get rich quick. We have a National Film and Video Censors Board. Can that National Film and Video Censors Board just wake up at that level? You may call it censorship. But if the focus on money rituals will become harmful to society, I think the government of Nigeria also has a responsibility to protect public health, public morality, because this has to do with some kind of mass psychosis. We need the Nigerian community. Everybody wants to be rich. So we've lost it. It's about national reorientation. So this call, yes, is in order, but let's look at our films, let's look at our pastors, and let the law enforcement agencies, become more proactive in dealing with cases of money ritual. In the East, there's even a case now. They call it, I don't know what they call it again. Young men, they will go into a public place, and they will engage in a broad daylight ritual. I don't want to describe it on indecent company.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. So these are the kind of things that we see on a daily basis in Nigeria, and it's a great cultural crisis and a problem of mass psychosis.
100 on that one. Now, as we take the next story, I would like to also take a moment to appreciate the men of the Nigerian Army for all the work that they do every single day in keeping the people of Nigeria safe. We see you and we're incredibly grateful. Now, 3 suspected kidnappers operating along the Benin-Auchi expressway were killed by security operatives. There was the Nigerian Army involved in that situation, the vigilante men as well. Now, commuters on the ever-busy road, they were held for hours while the security operatives engaged these hoodlums. You could literally hear the gunshots. Now, 3 of the suspected kidnappers were said to have been neutralized by the superior firepower, of course, of the security men, while some other hoodlums were said to have escaped with bullet wounds. Now, when contacted, just to confirm the story, the public relations officer of the Edo State Police Command, Bello Kotongs, confirmed this incident. Now, one of the motorist who was equally traveling did a short video basically explaining the plight of other motorists as the Nigerian Army engaged these kidnappers. Let's take a look at that.
Exchange of fire between men of the Nigerian Army and kidnappers on the Benin-Auchi road. You can hear gun battle. Exchange of fire. The road is entirely blocked. You can see commuters, vehicles and passengers are stranded. May God save us. I'm on my way to the Benin, to the High Court Ekboma, to conduct my matter. But here we are. We are trapped. Kidnappers on the rampage. We must commend men of the Nigerian Army who have taken it upon themselves to go after them. But then, you can hear gun battle. You can hear gun battle. You can hear gun battle. May God help us. May God help us. May God help us. We are stranded today, the 2nd of February. Today, the 2nd of February 2022. Kidnappers are on it again on the Benin-Auchi road. May God help us. Everyone is stranded here. I'm on my way to the Ekboma High Court, but I cannot move beyond this point. You can hear gun battle. May God help us on the Benin-Auchi road. This is terrible.
It is terrible. This is quite scary. I mean, imagine people traveling and then these kidnappers lay ambush for them. Like I said, before I began the story, I think the men of the Nigerian Army really just, as much as we can, all the appreciation we can give, because this every day, it's a risk from one risk to another. It's really scary and terrifying what happened there. I'm happy the motorists were able to get on to their destinations, hopefully safe and sound.
Yes, I don't think there can be too much commendation for this gallantry by our Nigerian soldiers who do not get nearly enough appreciation, either from the public or from the government.
That's true.
They serve us, and we're all sleeping in our beds, and they're out there facing this kind of danger. But my heart just really goes out to those passengers. They must have been completely terrified, but they are the lucky ones. Other passengers before them get abducted, some are murdered, because these audacious criminals decided that this was the spot, and they kept returning there until they had to be stopped. And this goes back to the first story, Kachi, about our loss of values in this country. They're kidnapping people, trying to make an easy buck.
Exactly.
And they've become completely dehumanized. They've lost all humanity. You hear stories that people are kidnapped for ransom, which is egregious enough, but that when ransom is paid, they are murdered, even though the families have been able to pay the ransom. This is where we are as a country. And I have to say that, I'm old enough to remember for most of my lifetime, this was never the case in Nigeria. This was Mexico. We used to hear these stories of Mexico. Oh, Mexico is the kidnap capital of the world. Look at us now. It's actually staggering, and it has to be stopped. So really, when we hear some measures that are used to stop this kind of scourge, because I'm sure there's some people who are wondering why the kidnappers had to be killed in the manner that they were. I'm sure some people think some of the measures are a bit draconian, a bit harsh. I'm sorry, I don't agree. We're facing an emergency by any means necessary at this point.
Well, this incident, as reported, is another reminder of the crisis of insecurity that we face in Nigeria and the need for government to do a lot more. Yes, commendation for the Nigerian Army. The Nigerian Army, their job is to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria, but the Constitution also provides for a situation whereby the police are overwhelmed, they can be called in aid of civil authority to address a specific situation. And to the extent that they are overstretched and they've remained very gallant, I think they need to be commended. But this is just, one expressway. It's not restricted to that expressway. This morning, we discussed Governor Babagana Zulum, complaining that, look, in the Northeast, there is still very serious problem. He was complaining about how ISWAP which is more powerful than Boko Haram, although it's in itself an offshoot of Boko Haram, the Salafi insurgent group, could wreak more havoc in that part of the country. The indication of this is that nobody is safe, whether you are on the expressway or you are in, in your house or you are within municipal locations. Only 2 days ago or so, the governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, raised the alarm that criminals, kidnappers, are after his life. And although he said he was ready for them, this was at a joint security meeting between the Ogun State government and the Oyo State government. And he was saying, look, even he as governor is not safe. If the governor of a state with a convoy, and security details is lamenting. And the governor of Borno State is saying, please come and help us. So ISWAP is becoming even more deadly. That shows you that even ordinary people are not safe. These kidnappers, yes, an ecosystem, a mercantile, ecosystem, they kidnap people for ransom, yes. But they also kidnap people also for rituals, which was the first point you raised. We have in Nigeria today a population of headhunters who are behaving as if they are in primitive ancient times. Whatever it is that they do with the heads and body parts that they take away, is it a myth? Is it a reality? But the truth that we know is that the average man or woman in Nigeria is not safe, either from people who are looking for money or those who are doing rituals that they believe, we take them to, we bring them sudden wealth. So this is the problem, and we can only just go back to government and say there is no point at which government can afford to give up in protecting the average Nigerian and making our highways safe. The railway lines are not safe if the trains are not breaking down. They are attacked by hoodlums. Even the airlines are not safe. If you go to the airport, you can buy a ticket for 8 a.m. You may not, embark on your flight until 8 p.m. in the evening. Even the roads are not safe. So, big crisis. The story of Nigeria.
Yeah, well, there's a popular saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and it looks like Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is taking that step. So it's taking out-of-school children from the streets. So he has pledged to take care of 2 out-of-school pupils that he spotted while he was passing through Anthony Road in Lagos State on Thursday morning. Now, a statement put out by his media aide after the picture went viral, Jibril Gawat said the governor, he was on his way to an official function, and then he halted his convoy to speak with the 2 girls who were on an errand for a bean cake vendor, like akara vendor, during school hours. Now, the girls, they had buckets of peeled beans and pepper on their heads, looked like they were going to go grind it so they can prepare the paste for the akara, and then they were cited by the governor. Now, Gawat mentioned that the governor told the girls he would personally take up the responsibility for their education and upbringing, promising also to enroll them in school to continue with their education. What I found really interesting about this, apart from the fact that the governor has said that, he would want other Nigerians to emulate this behavior, is that one of the girls actually told the governor, in the elaborate story, that she had 4 other brothers who were already in school. But of course, financial difficulties and the likes led to her mom asking her to stay back and help out with the chores. So it also shed lights on another issue there, the fact that, okay, so the 4 boys are in school, but then there isn't enough money, so the girl should just stay home. I mean, how often do we have cases like this,
All too often. Girl child education remains a problem. Enrollment ratios are so different between girls and boys. And look at just the sexism underpinning the one child that they chose to stay at home, which is why we have this issue with early marriage. We have all kinds of evils against the girl child and her right to be educated and her equality to her male counterparts, starting in her own family. So you're referring to the little girl Suebat. But yeah, Suebat and Azizat, the other young girl, had this really fortuitous encounter with the governor, and how many of the other 13 million Nigerian children who are out of school are going to encounter a governor on the street who's going to decide to help them. We really have such a huge problem. But the one point that Governor Sanwo-Olu made that I appreciate was talking about how if a parent cannot afford private school, public school is an option, just that children must be educated.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Kachi. Not enough time to go further on this. We'd just like to thank you and wish you a very happy weekend.
Thank you.